couple of months ago, my brother asked me if I can help him to set up a IP camera security system or surveillance system. And we were not planning to do anything, big. We wanted to start something small where he can have just a few cameras just to monitor the front garden, and then, maybe just to feel how he likes them, how he wants to, maybe his ideas change and we want to monitor different things. Maybe we can add some more cameras in the future. And in the past couple of years, I've reviewed so many different cameras on my channel. At my home, I ended up, keeping the Reolink cameras, so that's what I'm using on a daily basis. And I also recommended him to do the same because I think it's a good balance between, quality, price, and also the fact that there are so many different cameras for a different situation, and you can just, get all of them from Reolink, whether you need, doorbells, some generic cameras, like, movable ones, battery operated ones, solar panel ones. So there is everything for every single situation. And I also contacted Reolink and I asked them if we can do some like promotion if they want me to make a video, and they actually offered me 3 different products. So we are going to install the Reolink doorbell that you can see now on the left. And they have a doorbell which, they have different versions. There is a battery operated one, there is a PoE one, and there is also a wired powered one. And we ended up with a wired power one because we can get power to the place where we want to install the camera, but we don't have network, so we couldn't really use PoE. And the other camera is the CX420W, which is a Wi-Fi camera from the new ColorX lineup. So these are the cameras which offer, super video quality even at low light conditions and, true color night vision, which I'm actually interested in because there is quite a decent, street lights in his area. So I'm hoping that even the street light would be able to provide enough illumination so that these true night color vision would be able to kick in the evening without the the additional light which this camera can also provide. So as I mentioned previously, his home is not really designed for IP cameras, so it doesn't have network and power connection in all the different places. So we ended up placing the cameras and also the doorbell in various different places where we can easily get power to. Obviously the network relies on the Wi-Fi, and I was a little bit concerned in the beginning because the gate, for example, where we install the doorbell is quite far away from the house. Maybe not that far, but I was concerned maybe the Wi-Fi coverage is not going to be sufficient. But everything ended up being working just fine. We didn't have any issues with the Wi-Fi, and even though these cameras are dual band, we ended up choosing the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi because the lower frequency usually has better range. So I think that also helps to make sure that these cameras get a decent enough coverage. And maybe if the coverage is going to be good enough or the signal is going to be good enough, maybe we can switch some of them to 5 gigahertz and then use them on the the higher bandwidth Wi-Fi range. And before I continue with the video, I just want to say how much I'm impressed with the color night vision capability of the CX410W. And this is not the first color night vision camera that I looked at, but the ones that I tested from different manufacturers, I installed it at home, and I don't have the same amount of street light. So my street light is a little bit further away. I have parts of the garden which are less lit, and I noticed that for those cameras for the color night vision to work, the spotlight needs to be turned on. But here, I mean, maybe it's the combination of better sensors or better street light, but basically this is all working without the sensor. And just for a comparison, I'm going to show you footage that I shot with my GoPro Hero 9. And granted, this is not the latest model from GoPro, but I was underwhelmed by the low light capability of the GoPro, even when it was brand new. So, I mean, obviously newer cameras will have better low light capabilities, and probably phones would have better low light capabilities. But still, it really shows that there is very little light available. I mean, it's enough for you to walk, so you don't have, you don't need a flashlight in order to go up to the house. But still, the fact that it gives such a good color nighttime footage is, I think, it's just remarkable. So this is how we ended up mounting the doorbell. As you can see, it's on the gate, and the reason it's on the gate because originally there was an intercom here, and the intercom has useful function because when you are at home you can just talk to the inside unit directly. You don't have to find the phone, and it also has a button which can open this gate. So that's actually very useful. But obviously when you are not at home, then the Wi-Fi doorbell is better because then you can answer it on your phone. And of course you can do the recording and you can do the two-way audio as well. So we haven't really decided whether it's going to be the doorbell more useful or the intercom which is more useful. So finally we might just replace that with that. But this is a temporary solution for testing, and that's how it's going to stay here for probably about a month, let's say. And this is mounted here temporarily, so I use the long cable to connect to the power supply, connect the unit inside using the two terminals which are on the back of the unit. And this long cable was good enough, so it reaches this box, which again, it's sort of temporary, but this houses the power supply unit in a waterproof casing. You can see that I was able to get the cable out through this gland, and then it gets power from this structure. And the first CX410W is mounted here. Again, you can see the waterproof box with a transformer in the back, and again we were able to get power from here. So this is again a good temporary solution just to get everything set up and just get ourselves familiar with how this works. And this has a really decent view of the entire driveway and the cars and the main gate. So this is a perfect location for it. So probably the only other reason or any other issue we would have is that there are some sails here in the summer to protect the cars, which is going to obstruct the view of this camera. So we might end up relocating it in the summertime, but until then I think it's a really good location for this guy. And for the second camera that you can see over there in the distance, we were able to get power from this gate motor, and we had a big conduit in the ground which takes power all the way to this camera. And here the setup is also somewhat temporary, just because we haven't had time to get like a nice mount. We probably want like a box section or something, and probably wide enough, which is going to hide that control box as well. So this looks at the the house, again the front garden, from a different perspective. It already caught some of the cats moving around, which are not our cats. And here for the box I managed to get this big gland which is able to clamp on this, I'm not really sure, this is probably like a junction within the cable. So this whole section is waterproof. And also I managed to get some waterproof connectors here, so no water should get into this box which houses the 12-volt power supply. And this camera seems to be happy chugging along here in this location. So there is a huge mess on my desk. There's a lot of other products that I partially reviewed or still want to do some stuff. But let's just open this box. And if I'm correct, this should contain 3 different products. Well, actually 3 products, and out of them 2 are going to be the same. So as a background, what I mentioned to Reolink is that in the current setup, we don't have installation or provisions for security cameras, as in we don't have network connection to the places where we want to install cameras. So we will need products that are Wi-Fi only. And the other thing I said is that I also need, it would be nice to also add a doorbell. And I mean, I don't use the Reolink doorbell, and I know that they have a Wi-Fi version, so that's going to be ideal for me. And to be honest, I think even if you are not really keen on using a video doorbell, it's such an ideal position to monitor, who is coming up to your house and ringing the door. So I can't really think about a more appropriate device to monitor the front of the house. I am a little bit concerned though, because this is traditional European houses, meaning that the doorbell is going to be way out at the property line. And so the Wi-Fi is inside the house, and there is probably like a good 50 meter. Of course, it's more line of sight, and there is only maybe 1 or 2 walls between the two. But I'm not really sure about the range. So that's going to be a surprise. So this is the video doorbell, the Wi-Fi version with a chime. Well, I think the chime probably comes with all the video doorbells. So chime is the only thing that is going to let you know inside that there is somebody at the door, because the only other option you have is just to look at your phone and then check for the notification. This stuff is packaged really well. I'm not really sure why they have this sticker on. There is definitely no battery power in any of these devices. I mean, we have power, we just don't have internet. So this is the other model. That's CX410W. So as you can see, it's 4 megapixels and it has night vision, and basically it's Wi-Fi, and then it also has all the object detection, although it doesn't really say here, but I looked and it has these object detection feature. I mean personal vehicle detection. So that should be nice. And the second box, or the third box, is the same because we got 2 of the CX410Ws. Let me do a quick unboxing so we can see what we get in each of these packages. So this is the doorbell. So on top, as usual, there is a pouch with all the documentation and stickers and drilling template. I guess that's what we usually get in there. And then we get the device. So this is the doorbell, fairly small. And then you have the chime unit, which has the Euro plug and a couple of buttons on the side. And yeah, but then you just plug this in, and I guess you have to pair it with the main unit. So that's something. And let me just put this to the side. And inside we got some stuff. So there is a power adapter, which has these barrel jack. So that's the power adapter. So again, this is Euro plug, but I guess this is just a normal, what is it? Oh, 24 volt, half an amp. Okay. So in case you want to use your own power supply, then make sure it's a 24 volt power supply. I guess they probably use 24 volts because then it's compatible with PoE. Because when I look at this device, you see there is a network jack down there. So I'm guessing they are using the same case for the PoE version and the Wi-Fi version. So maybe just the internals are different. And there is the 2 connections for the power socket, power connection. And I think 24 volt is usually used in other application like doorbells, and that's why they do that. Okay, so that's one. We got a piece of network cable, which I think we are not going to use. Maybe we can use it for setup. So we set up initially, and we get some screws and mounts and some spade connector cables and a few more cables. I'm not sure why we need this much. Maybe if you're not using the provided power adapter, then you have some leads. And then in here we have more lead. So this ends in a barrel jack, and the other end is the spade connector. So, and that's a fairly long one. So I think if you want the power adapter to be far away from the camera, then you can use this lead. Actually, I think that's going to be useful. But then you also get a short one. So that's pretty much the same as the long one. So barrel jack on one end and the spade connector on the other. So that's, you connect it like that here, and then the power jack goes in here. So obviously you would only use one of them. And some mounting stuff. So this is what you put on the wall, and then you hook it up, and there is also this wedge piece if you mount it on the side and you want it to look a little bit, you want the camera to look a little bit sideways. So loads of different options. I quite like it because it gives you, all the different things, how you can do it based on your, setup. You have the power, close by or far away. You have shorter cable, longer cable. different mounting options, and yeah, so you can just pick which one you're going to use in your installation. And the second package is the CS420W. I think that's going to be easier. So there is an envelope pouch on the top. This still has the old Reolink logo. By the way, they have a, oh, that's the old Reolink logo. There is a new logo. Oh, even the other box has the old logo. So they have reworked the font and how the letters look like. But anyway, you probably see the new logo in the beginning of the video already, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to replace that. So that's the camera. So piece of cable which has network power. So this is the jack for the power. And I'm guessing this is going to be a reset button. Yeah, that's the reset button. And you also have network. So there is an optional connection for Ethernet, but this is Wi-Fi. And yeah, you can see the two Wi-Fi antenna, SD card, and that's how she looks like from the front. So there is the floodlight LEDs, and probably internally there are infrared LEDs as well. This is metal. Everything feels metal. It's really nice. Yeah, I quite like it. It's just a general, you know, looking bullet camera. And we get another box with cables. So let me just open this and I'm going to show you. So we got two antennas. We have a cable, which is again an extension cable, female jack to male jack. We have a piece of network cable as well. We have some mounting screws. Yep, plugs and screws, and so we have an adapter. Let me check, is this also 24 volts? I think this would be only 12 volts. Yeah, this is 12 volts 1 amp. So just make sure that you don't mix the adapters for the doorbell with all the others, because all my other Reolink cameras use 12 volt adapters. Okay, that's the unboxing. And finally, let me just run through some of these cameras in the Reolink app. I'm not going to go through all the features because I have done that with so many different cameras, and most of the features are not that different from the other Reolink cameras. The only thing I want to show you is that I have these first two camera feeds that are from these cameras, which are installed at my brother's house, and the rest of it is something that I installed in my home. So I able to import, or basically he was able to share the cameras with me, so I can see his cameras in my cameras in all single app. Probably the only thing is that I'm not able to create like different homes here. Maybe I can create different groups, so I can just group them together, so I can, I don't know, maybe hide or collapse the ones that I don't need to look at, but I'm going to explore that a little bit later. And again, this sharing was very easy to do because he shared the camera and that generated a QR code. I added the QR code using the scan feature, like add a new device. I just scanned that QR code, and then it was asking me to provide a user ID and a password. So I just asked for the admin password, but normally you could set up a different user with only view-only capabilities and then share the password for that. So this is how you can control access to cameras. And as you can see, we have the three cameras. If I look at the doorbell, by the way, the stream is set to the high quality at the moment. So let me just change it to fluent so it gets a little bit better. And yeah, I mean, it's really nice. I really like this wide angle shot. There is, the picture is not 16 by 9, which I think it's also quite useful for this particular camera because the you get a little bit more of the sky and also a the ground. So you can almost see sort of like almost see under itself. So if the person is standing really close, you still can pretty much get the whole person into view. So, but I think that's the whole point for a doorbell camera. It has to be more like a fisheye one. But still, the image is pretty good. You have all the features here, like quick to talk, sorry, tap to talk, which is not going to work because I'm doing the screen recording as well. And you also have some quick reply options that you can add some audio that you want the camera to speak if you are not able to, you know, pick up the call, if you're not able to talk to him direct, you know, in person for whatever reason. And yeah, and in the playback, well, the playback is not going to work because we forgot to install the SD card, so we are going to come back to this later. In the settings, yeah, the settings are the usual. I haven't really found anything that was new. Of course, the detection alarm, you can you know, mark different non-detection zones. You can do sensitivity and then, you know, object size. So you can really customize. For example, if your, you know, camera, if your doorbell is looking at an area which has maybe a public street further down, then you can use this size so it only detects persons that are bigger, let's say the ones that are approaching your door. So yeah, a lot of nice features and, you know, useful features, but it's not configured yet. So you can see the, you know, the non-detection zones and sensitivity. Yeah, you can set in different levels, and yeah, the smart detection feature about, again, like, you know, what person you want to detect. And the reason this is not configured because there is no SD card, so it's not going to record anything anyway. So for the time being, the only feature which works is that somebody presses the button and the call comes into the phone, which is, it's, you know, most of the things that you want. And by the way, if you forgot about the installation method, there is like a built-in manual how you use the, you know, the built-in, the provided cables in order to install what are the different options you have. And this also has the time-lapse function. So that's one the CX has, and I think few of my cameras have as well. But it just, you know, it's a fun thing to play around with if you want to create a like a time lapse of a sunset or a sunrise. It's a novel feature, but it could be nice. So actually, I quite like that. Okay, and moving on to one of the other cameras. So that's how the house looks like at the moment. That's set on low as well. And again, you have the talk options here. You can also turn on the, oops, not the audio alarm, but the flashlight. But again, it's not going to make any difference now. It's daytime. Yeah, the infrared filter try to compensate for that. And at the moment the weather is overcast, it's getting late, so you can see that the lights are already on, but looking at the image it looks like that it's still like in the middle of the day. I mean, granted it's December, so it's not going to be very nice and sunshine, but still it looks like it almost looks like a middle of the day footage. And here you guys also get all the same features as the other one. Well, in the detection arm, one of the options is missing, but the detection zones, the sensitivity, and also some delays and the object size, they are still available here. So as you can see, it doesn't really matter whether it's a doorbell camera or just a general purpose camera. They seem to have all these options. And again, it has the time lapse here, and and going back here in the advanced and in the user management, this is where you can create different users. So let's say you have the admin user for yourself, so you can make changes to the camera, but you can create an additional user, and then you share that password with one who want to share the camera with. So that would be the way to give, you know, view-only access to somebody. And the third camera, which is here, is I noticed that in the settings, it is right at the edge of the Wi-Fi reception. You can see this small icon here on the top. It just has one dot. So really it was, I mean, I was skeptical about the Wi-Fi reception, and I had every right to be skeptical or a little bit concerned, but I think we just got lucky with this because it still has enough reception, and I can, you know, look at the stream, everything seems to be working fine. So the camera seems to be happy just having a, you know, fairly weak or fairly poor Wi-Fi reception, but it still seems to work without any issues. So you can see that it's one dot. It doesn't say anything else about the you know, the quality, but of course most of the recordings are stored in the SD card. So if, you know, worst case scenario, you can walk up to the camera, remove the SD card if the Wi-Fi connection is lost completely, and you can still retrieve your footage. So I think this pretty much concludes the review of these two cameras, well, three cameras, but the Wi-Fi doorbell and the CX410W. If you are interested in any of these cameras, I'm going to have affiliated links in the video description. But I think that's going to be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next one.